While performing a daring feat of cracking open a durian with my bare hands at a fruit shop, I caught the attention of a passing lady. She offered me 5 million, requesting that I assume the role of her son's girlfriend, tasked with guiding her rebellious and love-stricken offspring. As a seasoned stunt double, monetary gain held little significance. What truly mattered was the challenge presented. That very evening, I moved into the opulent villa belonging to her son. However, she failed to inform me that her son was none other than the notoriously difficult top-tier star, He Xingju, known throughout the entertainment industry. Initially, He Xingju's demeanor towards me, his seemingly forced girlfriend, was exceedingly contemptuous. "No matter what scheme you've concocted with my mother, you'd best return from whence you came," he coldly declared. Later, during a variety show, I disguised myself as He Xingju's assistant, only to be met with his unyielding indifference. In a moment of exasperation, I shouted, "I am from the Shu Road, mountain and all." To everyone's astonishment, He Xingju suddenly knelt before the entire online audience, pinching his ear and exclaiming, "Wife, I was wrong." The audience gasped in disbelief. With my suitcase in tow, I ascended the stairs briskly, and at a glance, I spotted a young man emerging from his bedroom, bare-chested and bleary-eyed. A frown etched upon his face. He squinted at me momentarily, and I blinked in surprise, my heart skipping a beat. How could that lady not have mentioned that her son was none other than the notoriously difficult top-tier celebrity, He Xingju? "Who are you?" He Xingju scrutinized me with suspicion. Fearing he might call the authorities for trespassing, I hastily clarified, "Hello, I'm your mother's choice of girlfriend. My name is Xinyu, and I will be accompanying you for a while to tend to your needs. I hope for your kind cooperation." He Xingju paused mid-scratch on his abdomen, an innocent bewilderment shimmering in his half-asleep eyes. "What are you saying?" I reiterated. I said, "I am now your girlfriend." "Are you joking?" His eyes widened in disbelief, his expression one of utter absurdity. "This is no jest. Your mother provided me with the password to this villa." Upon realizing I was his mother's undercover agent, his demeanor changed instantaneously, his gaze turning frosty as he snapped, "Whatever scheme you and my mother have concocted, you should just return whence you came." Sighing, I had anticipated the absurdity of this arrangement, especially given that the person involved was He Xingju. In a moment of clarity, I withdrew my phone and messaged the lady, "Madam, I will be returning the 5 million to you. Perhaps you should find someone else." Although 5 million was a sum I could scarcely hope to earn in a lifetime, I preferred to live a few more years. I finally understood why the lady was willing to spend such a fortune to procure a girlfriend to manage her son. After all, if she were to take on the task herself, her vast fortune would likely become a premature inheritance. The lady replied promptly, "Have you met my son?" "Yes." "Here's the deal. Once you succeed, I will give you another 5 million. For the next 3 months, you will act as his girlfriend, ensuring he does not rekindle any ties with Xinyu. You have full discretion on how to handle it, whether by binding or reprimanding, it matters not." Is she truly his mother? I clenched my fists. One cannot refuse 5 million twice. "Understood, madam. I shall not fail in my mission." With my resolve bending to the allure of wealth, I immediately donned a warm and affable smile. "Allow me to introduce myself once more. I am your temporary girlfriend." "Xinyu," He Xingju retorted angrily, "can't you understand when I tell you to leave?" "Don't bother me." My smile faded. Just as He Xingju thought I had capitulated, I struck the door of the adjacent room with a fist, unyieldingly declaring, "I have also made it clear. This is my job. If you jeopardize my livelihood, I will not let this slide." He Xingju recoiled, instinctively raising his hands to shield his face. His expression morphed into one of sheer terror as he gazed at the dented door, his Adam's apple bobbing as he swallowed slowly, no longer daring to utter a single word of defiance. Approaching him, I gently lifted his chin and leaned closer, whispering in his ear, "Be good. I prefer obedient boyfriends. And remember, good children do not use foul language. Now, go tidy up one of the rooms. I wish to sleep in the sunlight." He hesitated. Words of protest caught in his throat, but upon noticing the suitcase handle bent under my grip, he swallowed them back down. He Xingju, seething yet silenced, emerged from the master bedroom clutching a pillow, only to kick open the door to the guest room. He dared not confront me, partly due to the force of my earlier fist, and partly because he had just received a call from his mother. Miss Jean was a formidable businesswoman, uncompromising in her demands, Though her insistence on finding him a girlfriend seemed ludicrous, defying her would result in far graver consequences. He Xingju remained wary of his mother's wrath. Thus began our cohabitation. He Xingju, irked from the previous night with nowhere to vent his frustrations, spent the entire night gaming, diving into a frenzy until the early hours before finally succumbing to slumber. He awoke in the afternoon, and I, nestled on the sofa indulging in a game, caught the sound of his descent. He seemed oblivious to my presence, descending the stairs clad only in a pair of loose shorts, eyes still shut. His tousled hair hung over his brow, broad shoulders tapering into a slender waist and long legs. It's no wonder he's a top-tier star, even in disarray. He possessed a photogenic quality that could rival any cinematic masterpiece. Moreover, I found myself envious of his physique. His abs were commendably sculpted. You have been slain. The declaration of defeat jolted me back to reality, and the sleep-addled He Xingju quickly snapped to attention. Upon spotting me, his expression soured instantly, prompting him to retreat and don a t-shirt, all the while maintaining a cold demeanor as he marched toward the kitchen. As I awaited my resurrection, I maneuvered my character to the fountain, seeking vengeance against the enemy hero who had just vanquished me. Moments later, He Xingju stormed back, accusatively demanding, "Did you eat all the food?" Without lifting my gaze, I retorted, "What food?" "The food that Auntie made." I finally looked up, noticing the natural flush creeping into the corners of his eyes, and suddenly realized, oh, I forgot to mention, Miss Jean has reassigned the cook. So there's no lunch for you today, and from now on, no one will be cooking for you. He Xingju resided in a villa on the mountainside, far from the city, making even taxi rides inconvenient. Thus, families that did not cook typically employed a chef. Given that he had awoken so late, the timing was awkward. Restaurants were mostly closed, and food delivery would be problematic. Therefore, he would be left to hunger today. He Xingju's face immediately soured. He was on the verge of unleashing a torrent of expletives, but upon catching sight of my amused expression, he swallowed them back down and turned, dejectedly retreating into the kitchen. I set my phone aside and followed him. Upon entering the kitchen, the young master, who had evidently never cooked before, wore a bewildered expression as he surveyed the array of utensils, gingerly touching one then another, seemingly attempting to showcase his culinary prowess. Leaning against the door, I watched him with keen interest, amused by his unwillingness to concede. He glanced at me, his scowl reappearing as he confidently seized a pot. A few minutes later, after shattering several bowls, scorching a couple of pots, and nearly igniting the kitchen due to an overly vigorous flame, the once proud young master emerged in sheer panic, discarding the cooking tools. Unable to bear the sight any longer, I stepped past him to turn off the gas, for fear he might truly set the kitchen ablaze. He Xingju's fair complexion was smudged with soot, rendering him a pitiful sight, and I assessed him with a mixture of sympathy and exasperation, advising, "Young master, don't overreach. I have no desire to perish in a fiery inferno alongside you." He retorted defiantly, "Who said I couldn't cook? I merely lack proficiency." I could only respond with feigned enthusiasm, all right, our star is the best. He can do anything." Today, he bravely attempted a new skill. How impressive. Here's a little star sticker as a reward. He Xingju, visibly irate, shot back, "Don't speak to me in that condescending tone." Yet, the tips of his ears betrayed a hint of embarrassment. 3. I gazed at his pink-tipped ears with a mischievous glint and innocently inquired, "Are you hungry?" He shot me a sidelong glance, his stomach protesting audibly, yet he stubbornly retorted, "What's it to you?" I feigned regret. "Well, if that's the case, I suppose I won't bother. I was planning to make you a bowl of noodles." I reclined back on the sofa, and after a few moments, He Xingju, evidently driven by hunger, hesitantly approached. He seated himself across from me, still exuding an air of superiority despite seeking my assistance. "Didn't he say you would take care of me? Are you not fulfilling your duties after accepting payment?" I shrugged. "Young master, I just asked, and you declined." He wiped his palms nervously, seemingly throwing caution to the wind. He shouted, "I've changed my mind. Miss Jean is absolutely correct. He Xingju can endure many things, but hunger is not one of them. Since childhood, he has never been able to withstand hunger. The torment of an empty stomach is far more unbearable than any physical assault." I rested my chin on my hand and looked at him, saying, "Here, The rule is that once you pass this village, there's no shop left. If you refuse, that's the end of it. If you want to eat, you'll have to beg me. He appeared deeply affronted, ready to storm off at any moment, but I swiftly altered my tone. How about you call me sister? And I shall prepare a meal for you. His long eyelashes fluttered slightly, and he turned his face away in indignation. Yet a blush crept up from behind his ears to his cheeks. You wish, he said through clenched teeth. Fine, I knew it wouldn't be that easy. However, after teasing him, my spirits lifted, and I compassionately rose to prepare him a bowl of soft-boiled egg noodles. I placed the noodles before him, and he looked up at me in disbelief. I crossed my arms and warned, once you finish, wash the bowl. Break it, and I'll ensure you regret it. His expression of gratitude was swiftly suppressed as he muttered under his breath, violent maniac. I shot him a sharp glance. What did you say? He immediately buried himself in his noodles, too intimidated to utter another word. The young master may be stubborn, but he is not beyond control. Those around him are primarily sent by Ms. Chin, each one fearful of displeasing him, always accommodating his whims, which only exacerbates his unruly behavior. He indulges in reckless antics and is blinded by affection, showering others with resources and money without expecting anything in return. While Ms. Chin is formidable and can employ various tactics to make him yield. She ultimately does not wish to harm their already fragile mother-son bond and is reluctant to take drastic measures against him. But I am different. I would not hesitate to discipline him. Nonetheless, it is not always necessary to resort to violence. He can be quite easy to placate at times. He Xingju, having satisfied his hunger, took the bowl to the kitchen to wash it, and upon his return, he settled beside me on the sofa, clutching a pillow while feigning indifference yet cautiously observing my every move. I nestled into the sofa, finishing a game with a victorious sound ringing in my ears, and he Xingju leaned slightly in my direction. I glanced at him and asked, shall we team up? He immediately perked up, though he pretended to be nonchalant, replying, whatever. We quickly formed a team, and he curiously inquired, when did I add you? I replied lazily, I don't know, probably when we matched up. I added you on a whim. He appeared skeptical but did not press further. He Xingju is somewhat clumsy with games, a perennial diamond-tier player. His skills are not low, but they are not particularly high either. However, he possesses quick reflexes and good game sense, and most importantly, he has a remarkable synergy with me. Over the course of the afternoon, I guided him to accumulate 20 stars, soaring straight to the shining realm of glory. After another victorious round, he could not help but question me. You play so well, how come your highest rank is still diamond? I casually responded, busy, no time to play. In truth, I possess another account with 100 stars, but it had been hacked after a long period of inactivity, and I could not recover it. He Xingju seemed to ponder this, casting several glances at me, wanting to ask something, but as a new match began, he held back. In the days that followed, He Xingju and I nestled in the villa, playing games daily, propelling him to 50 stars in the King S tier. Beyond our gaming collaboration, we also shared a harmonious rapport in daily life. I would cook while he washed vegetables the moment I called him. He would promptly set down his phone and hurry over. After meals, he would willingly wash the dishes, despite the presence of a dishwasher, as they still needed to be loaded. As long as he consciously engaged in household chores, he remained a considerate boyfriend, worth teaching and keeping around. After over 10 days of gaming, I felt a bit nauseous, so I opted for a movie night. I selected the first film that won He Xingju an award. Though his acting was somewhat raw compared to later performances, it remains the quintessential work that springs to mind when people inquire about his filmography. I had watched it over 10 times yet still found it captivating. However, He Xingju was restless, frequently claiming he needed water or had to use the restroom, unable to sit still and enjoy the movie. Perhaps watching his own performance made him feel awkward. Just as he had exhausted all excuses, his phone rang halfway through the film. He looked as if he had found salvation, answering the call without a second glance. From my vantage point, I caught a glimpse of the contact name Xinyu. Remembering the primary task Ms. Chin had assigned me, I immediately focused my attention, pausing the movie. I mouthed at him, switched to speaker. He glanced at my hand, which held a slipper, and obediently activated the speaker mode. Xingju, are you free right now? Xinyu's gentle and intelligent voice resonated from the other end. I took out my phone to investigate her intentions. He Xingju was about to agree without a second thought, but I abruptly slapped the nearby pillow with the slipper, sending it flying a good 10 meters away. Startled, He Xingju stammered, "Is there something you need?" I smiled satisfactorily, having just discovered that Xinyu was currently interacting with fans during a live stream, taking a break. I had an inkling of what she was about to propose. Sure enough, I heard her say, "I'm live streaming. Could you come to my stream and sing a few songs? I want to give back to my supportive fans." What a clever ploy, mixing business with personal favors. As a top-tier star who excels in film, television, and music, He Xingju's fee for a single song far exceeds her earnings from an entire night of streaming. Yet, she expected him to sing multiple songs for free. While she wished to reciprocate to her fans, it was at He Xingju's expense. However, this foolish boy had helped Xinyu with such ungrateful requests more than once. He would always oblige her. He possesses both looks and talent, but is unfortunately ensnared by romantic notions. From the time Xinyu was an unknown actress, he openly provided her with resources. It is no wonder she rose to the status of a first-tier celebrity in just 2 years, thanks in no small part to his support, both financially and in terms of visibility. Yet, Xinyu is quite astute. She desires both fame and profit, crafting an independent female persona while unwilling to sever ties with He Xingju's popularity. Thus, she has consistently kept him at arm's length, publicly claiming they are merely friends, yet turning to him whenever she needs assistance, capitalizing on his name and connections. Even so, He Xingju willingly invests in her without seeking anything in return. His romantic inclinations have exasperated his manager to the point of nausea, and fans are driven to madness each time they see him boosting Xinyu's visibility. His mother would even spend a fortune to hire me to discipline him if she knew. Upholding my professional integrity, I discarded the slipper and, under He Xingju's horrified gaze, smashed a glass on the coffee table with a single swipe. If he dared to agree, I would not hesitate to break his legs. "Xingju, are you listening?" Xinyu inquired, having received no response from him. I picked up a fruit platter, preparing to break it in half with my bare hands. He Xingju swallowed hard, panic flashing across his face as he grasped my hand and lied to her, "Sorry, I've been busy lately." Xinyu was momentarily taken aback, but she quickly composed herself, responding with a hint of melancholy, "Oh really? What are you busy with?" After all, even when He Xingju was swamped with work, he always found time to indulge her unreasonable requests. "Just some family matters," he replied. I attempted to withdraw my hand, but he held on tightly, hastily offering Xinyu a few perfunctory words before hanging up the call and snatching the platter from me. I refused. "Don't break it. What if you hurt your hand? I'll take it to wash." With that, he dashed off with the platter in his arms, concerned he might be insincere. I pulled out my phone, opened Xinyu's live stream, muted it, and set it aside. When Xinyu re-entered her stream, her expression was somewhat unnatural, likely due to He Xingju's earlier rejection. When fans inquired whether He Xingju would be present tonight, a significant portion of the audience in Xinyu's livestream had come primarily to witness her collaboration with He Xingju, which had become a hallmark of her broadcasts. Initially, Xinyu feigned ignorance towards the barrage of comments regarding He Xingju, but as they continued to flood in, she ambiguously remarked, "Xingju has been quite busy lately. It's uncertain if he will attend." What a refined art of evasion. To articulate a rejection with such elegance, preserving her dignity in the process. "But my brother hasn't had any schedules recently. He's been on break for half a month without any chance to see him," commented a fan of He Xingju. It was unclear if Xinyu noticed this, but her fans certainly did. "This is Yea's live stream. Why do certain fans always come here to ask about He Xingju?" Exactly. He Xingju's name dominates every live stream. It's utterly exhausting. Does He Xingju's fanbase not have a home? Are they orphans in someone else's live stream? Such remarks swiftly ignited the ire of He Xingju's fans in the chat. Over the past 2 years, He Xingju had provided Xinyu with countless resources. And despite the protests from his fans, he remained unfazed, disinclined to engage with the public. Eventually, he was reluctantly compelled to grace others' live streams, only to be met with scorn. Labeled as an orphan in the process. "Now that we've exhausted the hype, you find us bothersome, is that it? Sisters, while we can endure, we must maintain our dignity. Even if we don't see our brother for a month, there's no need to trade insults here. I'm out. I too shall depart. Watching videos at home is far preferable to being berated here." In an instant, a tempest had arisen, and as accounts began to exit, It became apparent just how heavily He Xingju's fans had populated Xinyu's livestream. Almost half the engagement had vanished. Once Xinyu was alerted by her staff to the plummeting engagement, she realized the commotion that had transpired, her expression shifting. Yet, she had to suppress her reaction due to the ongoing broadcast. Eager to remedy the situation, she implored, "Everyone, please refrain from arguing. Xingju and I are very good friends. Let us all get along. How about I perform a dance for you?" She then proceeded to showcase a trending dance. Yet by that point, He Xingju's fans, who had already departed, would not be swayed by her attempts at placation. Within mere minutes, Xinyu's live-stream engagement had dropped from the top rank to 5th place. I stroked my chin contemplatively. The indignation faced by He Xingju's fans was far beyond mere grievance. Even as an outsider, I felt a pang of sympathy for them. Thus, when He Xingju entered, his hands still damp, I extended mine towards him. He paused momentarily, a blush creeping across his cheeks as he placed his hand into mine, clearly bewildered. I gently pushed his hand away. "Your phone, please." "What for?" Though perplexed, He Xingju complied and handed me his phone. I logged into his Weibo, posted a live stream announcement, and then scheduled a broadcast for 10 minutes later. Celebrating 5 years and 100 days since debut with fan appreciation benefits. I thrust the phone back at him. "Hold this. You are not allowed to end the stream until it has lasted a full 2 hours. He Xingju, still bewildered, looked at me with unspoken words. And I raised my slipper in my hand. "Now, dear best." He obediently held up the phone. As He Xingju's fans, still reeling from their grievances in Xinyu's livestream, turned their gaze to see the main event had announced a livestream, they could hardly believe their eyes. When the broadcast commenced, millions of viewers flooded in, causing the small livestream to lag multiple times. Thankfully, the platform staff acted promptly to stabilize the faltering stream. "Oh my goodness, it really is him. Brother has finally gone live. I have no regrets. Having just endured the frustration over there, this is truly a healing moment. Brother, please go live more often and give us advance notice next time. Your bamboo forest is not limited to this number." This marked He Xingju's first solo livestream. In the past, he had always relied on staff to set everything up while he merely followed the process on camera. Now, holding the phone and viewing the flood of comments up close, he glanced at me, somewhat at a loss. I quickly typed a message on his phone. Enlarging the font for clarity, answer fan questions, engage with them. He squinted to read my words, given his severe myopia, and after comprehending, he turned back to the barrage of messages. A fan queried, "Why did you suddenly go live, brother?" After a moment's thought, he replied, "Celebrating 5 years and 100 days since debut with fan appreciation benefits." I couldn't help but raise an eyebrow. Was he truly repeating the same line without alteration? The fans were both astonished and elated. "What has brother been up to lately?" He glanced my way again. "Not much, playing games, watching movies." "What is your rank now? Have you fallen from diamond again?" "What nonsense. If you upset brother, how will we manage?" You should ask what movie he watched. Unable to suppress my laughter at the playful banter, I chuckled aloud. "Who is laughing?" "Probably the staff. Brother, deduct her pay." "She dared to laugh at you. You all are too much." He Xingju, feeling wronged, complained, "I can't deduct her pay. I would get hit. Who dares speak to the boss in such a manner?" Oh my, finally someone can keep you in check. My amusement faded as a sense of tension took hold. Fortunately, He Xingju maintained his composure and did not reveal my identity. He skillfully redirected the conversation. "I watched the movie Spring Cocoon today. Have you seen it?" "Of course. This is your first movie. I've watched it multiple times and still can't get enough." "So, you enjoy watching your own film?" He Xingju's expression shifted slightly. "Not really." "Haha. If you don't like it, why watch it?" "Someone does," he remarked, casting another glance my way. At this point, some fans began to harbor suspicions. Why does brother keep looking to the side? Is there staff nearby? Who is someone? Has brother started dating? As long as it's not SY, I can fully accept it. My heart raced, and I quickly typed a warning. "Don't look at me, focus." Reluctantly, He Xingju redirected his gaze, engaging in a casual conversation until silence fell. He pivoted the camera to focus on the paused movie screen. "Please enjoy the film." For the next 2 hours, He Xingju streamed his movie to the fans. The fans feigned smiles. "It's quite nice. Watching this movie requires a subscription, but brother is giving us a free live stream." After 2 hours, He Xingju finally ended the live stream. Visibly relieved, as he was truly not adept at this kind of engagement. Just as he concluded, Xinyu also ended her stream and immediately called him. This time, without prompting, He Xingju put the call on speaker. Xingju, why didn't you tell me about your live stream today? Had I known, I wouldn't have gone live myself and could have supported you. Xinyu feigned innocence, lightly chiding him. How curious. Perhaps she sought to capitalize on the fallout from her fans driving He Xingju's supporters away, attempting to leverage the situation for her own gain. I searched for my slippers, and He Xingju bent down to retrieve them from beneath the sofa, placing them at my feet. No need, I can manage myself. Had he grown wise enough to refuse Xinyu without needing my threat? Xinyu, sounding somewhat wounded, tentatively inquired, Xingju, are you upset? I was unaware that fans were insulting yours in the live stream. Their words may have been harsh, and I apologize on their behalf. He Xingju, taken aback, replied. Was there such a thing? You truly ought to issue a public apology. How about this? You make a statement on Weibo, otherwise they won't see it. Pfft. I couldn't help but burst into laughter. Is He Xingju genuinely unaware, or is this intentional? But doesn't he have feelings for Xinyu? Why is he still acting so obliviously? Xinyu was taken aback and asked, Xingju, is someone with you? Just family. Then you carry on, I won't disturb you. Xinyu hurriedly hung up. I stood up and ruffled He Xingju's hair. Good boy, your performance today was acceptable. Always remember, while I am still your girlfriend, you must uphold the principles of a gentleman. Otherwise, I cast a warning glance at the slippers. Instead of being frightened, He Xingju's face inexplicably flushed. I was momentarily stunned. Has this lad been rendered speechless by my intimidation? Xinyu's live-streaming mishap indirectly slapped He Xingju in the face. In an effort to salvage her reputation, she publicly apologized on Weibo. However, the audience was unimpressed, and a small portion of her fans expressed their disappointment by unfollowing her. This is what one might call shooting oneself in the foot. Xinyu's popularity evidently dwindled, leading even a previously negotiated endorsement deal to reconsider. Amid her busy schedule, Mrs. Qin noticed the trending topic and, in her delight, transferred $1 million to me. My eye for a daughter-in-law is truly impeccable. It must be a girl from Rongqing. Buy whatever you desire. I was taken aback. I had to say, aside from his initial pert attitude, He Xingju has been rather obedient lately. Moreover, he hasn't proven as difficult to manage as I had anticipated. I found He Xingju's recent behavior quite peculiar. He, who once refused to wear glasses, now wears them almost all the time except while sleeping or bathing, and often sneaks glances at me, turning crimson when caught. However, as long as he doesn't throw a tantrum or seek Xinyu, I chose to remain uninvolved. After lunch one day, we were curled up on the sofa watching a movie. Midway, I excused myself to use the restroom after drinking too much water, only to return and find He Xingju on the phone. The caller was none other than the long-absent Xinyu. Enraged, I grabbed a clean pair of slippers and, without a word, smacked him on the back of his head. He Xingju clutched his head and turned to me, looking aggrieved. Why did you hit me? I didn't do anything wrong. I was fuming. He was secretly on the phone with Xinyu while I was away and claimed he did nothing wrong. Oh really? He Xingju, you dare to talk back? I turned to grab a feather duster, and upon seeing this, He Xingju dropped his phone and fled. I chased him upstairs. Today, it was either his demise or my career's downfall. When I finally caught up to He Xingju and pinned him down, I received a call from Mrs. Qin. Sitting on his waist, I warned him not to speak before answering the call. Yeah, are you beating up He Xingju? I was taken aback. How did Mrs. Qin know? After you're done, take a look at Weibo's trending topics. I won't interrupt your lesson anymore, she said before hanging up, her tone surprisingly cheerful. I skeptically opened the trending topics and discovered that just moments ago, Xinyu and He Xingju had made headlines. The situation unfolded as follows. Xinyu, during the recording of a variety show, was required to call her best friend and ask for 500,000 to test their friendship. Naturally, she couldn't miss the opportunity to leverage He Xingju's popularity and called him without a second thought, just as I stepped away. The phone rang several times before he answered. In the video, Xinyu confidently stated, Xingju, I'm a bit tight on cash right now, could you lend me 500,000? To her surprise, He Xingju, who usually never refused her, hesitated for a few seconds and posed a soul-searching question. Is this a scam? The audience and guests struggled to contain their laughter. Xinyu blushed and explained, "It's not a scam. It's really me, Xinyu. Can't you recognize my voice?" He Xingju remained silent for a moment, seemingly pondering, before saying, "Simulating voices isn't difficult." What Xinyu thought would be a guaranteed win turned into a loss against He Xingju's heightened scam awareness. Xinyu could only salvage her pride. "All right, actually, I'm recording a show. It's a game that requires borrowing 500,000 from a friend. If you knew it was me, would you lend it to me?" Assuming this thorough explanation would suffice, she was taken aback when He Xingju replied, "I'm sorry. I don't have the money, so I can't lend it to you. Try asking someone else." Just then I entered, brandishing a shoe sole to strike him. He responded to me, and the commotion ensued as he fled, and I pursued. Now, the internet was flooded with trending topics like Xinyu's money-borrowing fiasco, He Xingju's scam awareness, and He Xingju talks back. Of course, there was also the jubilant uproar from the audience. He Xingju had once again delivered a resounding slap to Xinyu's face. How can brother not have money, yet he refused? What does this mean? This means brother is awakening from his love-struck state. No longer a love-struck fool, starting from refusing the green tea BTCH. No one doubts He Xingju's last remark on the call, right? And the voice at the end was a female. I found it strange during the last live stream. Do you think it could be his girlfriend? For someone who can keep brother in check, who normally wouldn't dare to talk back, I wholeheartedly support this girlfriend. I had not expected to have wronged He Xingju. He lay beneath me, unable to move, bearing the bruises from my earlier rage. I cleared my throat and got off him. Next time, you should speak up sooner. He Xingju sat up, lifted his shirt to inspect the bruises. Looking utterly aggrieved, you didn't give me a chance to explain. Acknowledging my fault, I reached out and rubbed his sore midsection. All right. I'll make it up to you. You can say whatever you want, and I will agree, okay? He Xingju, who had been sulking, suddenly brightened. Really? Anything goes? Just don't push your luck. Then I want you to go with me to record the show. He Xingju seemed to have anticipated this. I flicked his forehead. Are you crazy, or am I crazy? Do you want everyone to know about our cohabitation? He Xingju settled for a compromise. Then you can be my assistant. I pondered and found it acceptable. He Xingju was set to participate in a rural variety show, a job previously arranged by his manager, Mingge. The show would be recorded live, and while He Xingju filmed, I followed closely behind the PD. The others, seeing me as a stranger, quickly understood when they heard I was He Xingju's new assistant. Given He Xingju's notoriously cantankerous demeanor, changing assistants daily was hardly a surprise. However, during the recording, He Xingju frequently glanced my way and often approached me for water. Even though drinks provided by sponsors sat on the table, he selectively chose to ignore them, insisting on the one in my hand. As this occurred repeatedly, the staff and guests began to regard me with knowing glances. Moreover, since this was a live broadcast, he would occasionally dash off and then reappear, beaming, causing viewers to sense something amiss. What is He Xingju doing? Working for half an hour and taking 5 minutes to drink water? What is he up to? Is he severely nearsighted? Can't he see the water on the table? Why is he asking the assistant for water from afar? Not only is he nearsighted, he is also cross-eyed. While working, his eyes keep darting sideways. What on earth is he looking at? Can the cameraman shift the lens? I want to see what captivating beauty has him so enchanted. I was startled by the barrage of comments on my phone. I was just an ordinary person, without makeup, and would surely be exposed in the live stream. Yet, at that moment, He Xingju chose to abandon his tool and approach me. Yeah, I want some water. His earpiece was still on, and as the PD's camera followed him, it inadvertently captured me as well. I hastily lowered my head, searching frantically for water. My desire to throttle that little brat was overwhelming. Yet I had to diligently fulfill my role as an assistant. Let me look for it, I muttered. After 2 minutes of searching in vain, He Xingju tilted his head, reminding me, what do you have in your hand? I was taken aback. The water was right there in my grasp. This is what I've already drunk. I attempted to explain, but He Xingju had already snatched it from me, twisted off the cap, took a sip, and then returned it. I'm off to work. It's hot here. You should rest over there. It was needless to guess that the barrage of comments in the live stream was erupting. My hand trembled uncontrollably around the water bottle, shaking violently. Oh, I could hardly contain myself. Once the broadcast ended, I would unleash my fury upon him. I spent the day in a state of dread. Discussions about my relationship with him were inevitable online. Is that the new assistant? So beautiful, and her figure is splendid. Xingju calls her Yaya? Could it be that one? Impossible. Absolutely impossible. That one is still filming on set, and besides, her physique is clearly different. Her voice is also distinct. Doesn't it sound familiar, like the voice I heard over the phone? Isn't she the one who dared to hit Xingju? Ladies, wake up. What kind of staff shares the same bottle of water? Have you forgotten how much of a germaphobe Xingju is? Disgusting. Isn't that just indirectly consuming someone else's saliva? I used to think he was different because he supposedly never filmed kissing scenes, but now he's become filthy. Doesn't he worry about infectious diseases? I detest men who lack boundaries with women. He's unworthy of our Yaya. Why do some people talk as if they've smeared their mouths with laxatives? Spouting nonsense everywhere. What a revelation. It's the 21st century. Surely no one doesn't know that two people sleeping in the same bed can conceive a child. Isn't there a possibility that Xingju simply doesn't care about your main character? And don't you have your own home? Are you all orphans in Xingju's realm? Initially, the bamboo grove was merely discussing my identity. Although there were doubts, they remained relatively rational. However, fans of Xinyu were making a scene in the comments section, being mercilessly ridiculed by the already estranged bamboo grove. After enduring the day's live broadcast, once the cameras were off, I stormed over to Xingju to settle the score. The staff tidying up were taken aback by the broomstick I held between my fingers. It seemed more like I was about to commit domestic violence than to confront him. I kicked open the door, only to collide head-on with Xingju, who had just showered, wrapped only in a towel, droplets of water glistening on his abs. The rod in my hand fell to the ground, rolling beneath the sofa. Xingju looked up, drying his wet hair, and upon seeing me, his eyes sparkled with recognition. Yeah, what brings you here? I cleared my throat, my gaze involuntarily wandering over him, momentarily forgetting my purpose. Was this his deliberate ploy to charm me? I noticed you barely touched your dinner. Is the boxed meal unappetizing? Xingju seemed completely oblivious to the underlying issues, and he pulled me over to sit by the bed. Everyone on set had the same boxed meal, and as the group assistant, I was no exception. However, I was indeed a bit picky, refusing to touch the dishes I disliked, and after finding the evening fare unappealing, I hardly ate. Lost in thought, my hand unconsciously reached for Xingju's abs. He allowed me to explore, offering no resistance whatsoever. It was only when my hand began to wander too low that Xingju let out a soft groan and grasped my hand. His face flushed crimson, and his voice turned hoarse. Yeah, this isn't the right time. What did he mean by that? Suddenly jolted back to reality, I quickly retracted my sinful hand. My reason, clouded by his allure, returned as I pointed an accusatory finger at him. How can you disregard decorum? Drinking from someone else's bottle and parading around without clothes for someone to touch you. Xingju's expression shifted from shock to confusion, and then to grievance. How am I disregarding decorum? I drank from my girlfriend's bottle, and only she is allowed to touch me. Is that wrong? Oh right. I was indeed his girlfriend now. I pondered for a moment. Fine, I'll let you off the hook today, but starting tomorrow, when you record the show, you must focus on your work. No more seeking me out for trivial matters, and no looking at me, understood? Just look at how severely today's incident has escalated. He attempted to argue, but I raised my hand, silencing him. After that day, Xingju behaved impeccably, diligently recording the show, and he ceased to act out. Discussions about our relationship online gradually cooled down. Excellent. The internet's fervor is fleeting. It wouldn't be long before we were forgotten. I felt at ease accompanying Xingju through a month of variety shows. A few days before the conclusion, I received a call from Ms. Jean. You've done exceptionally well during this time. The remaining 5 million has been transferred to your account. Thank you for everything you've done for Xingju. I felt somewhat dazed. I had been playing the role of Xingju's temporary girlfriend for nearly 3 months. When I had initially agreed with Ms. Jean, it was for 3 months. Now that the money had arrived, the time was nearly up. My disciplinary task was coming to an end. No, this is merely my duty, I replied modestly. After all, it was a remuneration of 10 million. Ms. Jean and I exchanged pleasantries, engaging in amicable discourse regarding Xingju's education. Her tone carried a hint of sadness. In the past, I was too busy with work to attend to him. By the time I turned around, I discovered he no longer needed me. I never managed to guide him in his childhood, and now I lack the authority to do so as an adult. But I can't just watch him make foolish decisions, so I resorted to this strategy. The playful banter between peers is often more effective than my nagging, and fortunately, I didn't pick the wrong person. I remained silent, choosing not to respond. Once I concluded my conversation with Ms. Qin and turned around, I found Yixingzhi standing behind me, who should have been at the recording. His expression was rather grim. I paused for a moment and asked, "What are you doing here? Have you completed your assigned tasks?" But Yixingzhi's demeanor had grown cold, reminiscent of the day I first arrived, when he had snapped at me to leave. Without a backward glance, he departed. For the entire day, Yixingzhi ignored me, focusing solely on his own tasks, even refusing to ask for water despite his chapped lips, circumventing me whenever I came into view. His familiar stubbornness resurfaced, as if he were intent on cutting ties entirely. I contemplated the situation. With the contract period nearing its end, I couldn't let trivial matters escalate unnecessarily and decided against threatening him as I had before. To my surprise, on the day I chose not to confront him, he escalated matters. The show required each guest to invite a friend from the industry to join them in the small house, and it happened to be Yixingzhi's turn. A few guests gathered, inquiring whom he wished to invite. One male guest, whether intentionally or not, brought up Xinyu. Xingzhu is closest to Xinyu. Will he invite her? I was sitting nearby, sipping tea, and turned my gaze toward them. Astonishingly, Xingzhu did not refute it, instead scrolling through his contacts on his phone. With only a few days remaining in my tenure, I could not allow him to tarnish my reputation at the final hour. I crushed the paper cup in my hand, realizing that his cold demeanor these past few days was a sign of his reverting to old habits. Unable to contain my frustration, I shouted, "Yixingzhu, get over here." My furious exclamation made everyone present jump in surprise, and Yixingzhu instinctively sprang to his feet, rushing towards me. His face bore a look of bewilderment, still unaware of what had provoked my anger, yet instinctively, he knelt down, clutching his ears, and loudly admitted his fault. "Wife, I was wrong." All eyes in the room turned toward me, their faces a tapestry of shock, realization, and the eager curiosity of onlookers. At that moment, the live broadcast had yet to conclude, and Yixingzhu, in a fit of emotion, knelt before me, calling me wife. An image that swiftly surged to the trending topics. In an instant, rumors erupted regarding my status as Yixingzhu's wife and his submissive nature. The incident had unfolded unexpectedly, prompting me to request a room from the director that lacked surveillance cameras. Seated face to face with Yixingzhu, my hand trembled as I clutched a slipper, my anger bubbling beneath the surface. Yixingzhu, was this intentional? He had never addressed me in such a manner before. Today, however, he had inexplicably called me wife before millions of viewers. It was hard to believe he wasn't seeking revenge. He turned his face away, mirroring our initial meeting, silent and aloof. "Speak up. Weren't you quite fluent just a moment ago?" Yixingzhu, perhaps incensed by my words, suddenly turned to me, his eyes reddened, and with gritted teeth declared, "Yes. I did it on purpose." I shouted back, "Why would you do this?" He, refusing to back down, responded, "You only care about 5 million. Why is it that each of you thinks you're doing me a favor, coming and going with feigned sincerity, when you have no genuine feelings? Do you all think I'm a fool?" A realization washed over me. So he had overheard my conversation with his mother that day? "What do you mean 5 million? That's just the final payment. The total is 10 million. He was taken aback, his anger transforming into tears as he exclaimed, "So you agreed to be my girlfriend for 10 million? You never cared for me." I felt my own frustration mounting. "As if you ever genuinely liked me. And I was brought to you by your mother. You knew that from the start. So, what if I like you? It's different from the insincerity you've shown in these 3 months." He was growing more agitated, his neck flushed. A mix of grievance and sorrow etched across his face. I felt as though a bucket of cold water had been thrown over me. Slowly regaining my composure as I replayed his words, "You said you liked me?" Yixingzhu's face flushed crimson. "Are you joking? You like me? What do you like about me? That I hit you with my slipper? Aren't you attracted to someone gentle and intellectual like Xinyu? You must despise me for stopping you from being with her." I remained rational. Yixingzhu, in a fit of frustration, insisted, "Who said I liked Xinyu? I've only ever liked you. You don't like her, yet you provide her resources, offer her free support in her live streams? You act like a fool." Confessing only to be rejected, yet you willingly chase after her? It's not like that. I thought she had helped me before, I just wanted to repay her. I've never liked her, nor have I confessed. I was initially skeptical, yet the sincerity in his gaze and the depth of his affection made my heart flutter. After a prolonged silence, He Xingju softened his approach. My mother offered you 10 million to be my girlfriend for 3 months. I'll give you my salary card and credit card. You can manage me for a lifetime, all right, sister? When He Xingju lowered himself, gazing at me with a pitiful expression reminiscent of an abandoned puppy pleading for a home, no one could refuse him, least of all me. And he called me sister. I pondered deeply, contemplating the possibility of extending this arrangement. Just as I was considering whether to agree, the director's assistant gently knocked on the door. Teacher He. Miss Shin, will you continue filming the show? I glanced at He Xingju, who appeared despondent, like a drenched dog, shrinking in the corner, daring only to glance at me. The show must go on, after all, there was only 1 episode left, and withdrawing would incur a penalty. I instructed He Xingju, you go finish filming the show. We can discuss the rest when we get home. However, He Xingju began to negotiate. You first agree to continue managing me, then I'll go record. How audacious. Are you asking for a beating? Do you enjoy being hit by me that much? He Xingju pouted, I do. This fellow could be incredibly stubborn at times. Unlike anyone else. Covering my flushed face, I relented. Fine, I agree. Now hurry and record. Don't say anything foolish. It was impossible for him to remain silent. Having called me wife so loudly during the live broadcast, even if the guests pretended nothing had happened, it had already spread online. Yet, He Xingju never followed the ordinary path. As long as he wasn't breaking any laws, his fans would tolerate him. He Xingju invited a flying guest to join, reaching out to his good friend Lu Linsu. Before the latter could utter a word, He Xingju cheekily inquired, How did you know I have a girlfriend? Lu Linsu fell silent for a moment before bluntly replying, Get lost. Now, even his manager Minggu no longer needed to strategize public relations. The entire internet was aware that I was now his girlfriend. The show continued to film, the trending topics never waned. Until the final day when the director could no longer withstand the viewers' demands and invited me to record an interview with He Xingju. This served as a public announcement of our relationship. After careful consideration, I agreed, since I had promised He Xingju I would continue to manage him. This was a matter I would eventually have to face. On the day of the interview, I had my makeup done and donned a beautiful outfit, and when I emerged, He Xingju was left utterly awestruck. Embarrassed under his gaze, I snapped, Don't look. He, however, smiled and took my hand. How can I not look at my beautiful girlfriend? The host cleared his throat, inviting us to take our seats and following the script to ask us questions. How did you two meet? This had been scripted in advance. We certainly could not mention the 10 million. The love story crafted for He Xingju by the studio was a cliched tale of love at first sight. Yet, He Xingju deviated from the script. Bowing his head as if lost in thought, 3 years ago, I was filming on set. I called my mother, intending to tell her it was my birthday. But she was too busy, and after a few words, the call ended. I can't recall the last time she wished me a happy birthday. The mother who used to bake me birthday cakes has faded into a blur. This was the first time He Xingju had willingly brought up his mother since his debut, leaving me stunned, and the live chat flooded with silence. That day, I was in a bad mood, sitting outside the hotel playing games. But I kept losing until someone nearby invited me to team up. She was incredible, leading me to victory all night, and just before midnight, she turned on her mic and played me a birthday song. She told me, Pick up your weapon. She can't hug you, but when she puts it down, she can't protect you. At that time, I didn't know who she was, and I had mistaken her for someone else, but now I realize that during my darkest moments, the person willing to accompany me through the screen, guiding me and wishing me a happy birthday, was her. As He Xingju concluded, he turned to me, his eyes sparkling with stars. My heart trembled. So he knew. I had thought he had forgotten. The host then turned to me, asking, and mission. Did you also meet Teacher He through gaming? I shook my head, replying no, it was even earlier. He Xingju's eyes widened in surprise. For years ago. I was still a stunt actor, a martial arts stand-in, on the set of Chasing the Murderer. At that time, I had once possessed the courage to pursue my dreams. Yet reality had defeated me, and even being a stand-in came with its own trials. In that frigid winter of December, The actress with whom I was performing deliberately flubbed her lines, compelling me to plunge into the icy waters time and again, until my face turned ashen from the cold. All she needed to do was offer a bow and an apology, and I would have to reshoot the scene. Eventually, my body became numb with the chill. Until Yi Xingju, the male lead, happened to pass by and, with an unyielding demeanor, rebuked that actress. I must say, your stunt double executed that part quite well. Since your acting is lacking, why not continue filming your segments alone? It will eventually be cut anyway. Don't waste others' time. He Xingju's ability to command respect in the industry stemmed not only from his talent, but also from the fact that, upon entering the field, Ms. Jean had directly acquired an entertainment company to serve as his backing. He was notorious for his short temper, on particularly bad days. Even stray dogs on the street would receive his ire. Naturally, when he spoke, the director complied with a smile. From that moment on, until I completed my role as a stunt double, I was no longer subjected to any further trials. I recognized that perhaps He Xingju was merely having a bad day and was venting his frustrations, and with his severe myopia, he likely wouldn't remember my face. Yet, from that day forward, I found myself continually drawn to him. On his birthday, I happened to overhear him conversing with his mother on the phone from a distance. Therefore, when I noticed him sulking while playing games and repeatedly losing, I inexplicably took out my phone and invited him from among those nearby. Subsequently, we would often team up for games, but 6 months later, just as I had resolved to reveal my name to He Xingju, my mother fell ill and my father broke his leg at home. I had to relinquish my immature aspirations and return to care for my parents. From that point on, gaming was set aside, and having never exchanged any contact details with He Xingju, I severed all links with him. He had ascended to the pinnacle of success, while I remained a mere failure. Months later, once I had settled my parents, I still found myself yearning for a glimpse of him, yet discovered that my account had been hacked. I was left with no choice but to create a new account, pretending to be an anonymous player to reconnect with He Xingju. However, by then, rumors were circulating online that he was pursuing Xinyu, leaving me too timid to invite him again. I am, after all, a coward. This secret weighed heavily on my heart for a long time, one I never disclosed to anyone. The host paused in surprise before continuing. In that case, it seems quite fateful that the two of you have come together. Indeed. It was Miss Jean's whim that led her to seek someone to discipline He Xingju, and she instantly set her sights on me, the one who could crack open a durian with bare hands. So, how do you two usually get along? What do you think of the netizens calling teacher he a pushover? He Xingju, far from feeling ashamed, proudly declared, I listened to her. To hit is to love. To scold is to care. I could only muster a strained smile. Nowadays, when netizens mention me, they invariably recall that thunderous proclamation. I am the one on the she road. On the way back from the recording, He Xingju kept gazing at me with a foolish grin. Unable to tolerate it any longer, I pushed his face away. What is going on? He leaned closer again, asking, so, did you like me all along? Ever since I recounted my experiences as a stunt double, he had been grinning to himself. Gazing at his dangerously charming face, I found it hard to utter disingenuous words. When you find yourself in dire straits, encountering someone who shines like a star, casting a beam of light upon you, it is all too easy to be drawn in. Particularly when the more you observe him, the more you discover that the true essence of He Xingju is far gentler, more beautiful, and more fragile than you ever imagined. He Xingju lost his father unexpectedly at the tender age of 5, prior to which, he had enjoyed a blissful home life. Meanwhile, Ms. Jean was still a young girl, cherished like a princess by her husband. After his passing, their family business became the target of avaricious relatives, leaving the widow and orphan vulnerable to being torn apart by the financial wolves surrounding them. Miss Jean was compelled to steel herself against that pack, determined to safeguard her late husband's legacy and protect her son. Thus, she tirelessly negotiated with the company's board members, fighting for control of the business. During this tumultuous time, He Xingju suddenly lost his father and the companionship of his mother. He began to doubt his worthiness, believing that if he were more obedient and exceptional, his mother would have spent more time with him. Consequently, he endeavored to be a well-behaved and accomplished child. In those days, he was indeed obedient, yet Miss Jean was so preoccupied that she failed to notice his sensitive heart. Achieving first place in exams went uncelebrated. Parent-teacher meetings were invariably missed, and on birthdays, the lights remained dark until midnight. Eventually, Xingju grew weary of being the model child. He rebelled, forsaking the top university to pursue a film academy, entering the industry to sing and act, deliberately causing trouble, believing it would vex his parents. Upon learning of his foray into the entertainment world, Ms. Qin did not express anger. Instead, she first acquired a company for him and then provided him with a capable manager and team, safeguarding his career every step of the way. Thus, the mother-son duo navigated their relationship, estranged yet deeply concerned for one another, without communication, drifting further apart. In response to Xingju's hopeful gaze, I found myself unable to voice my true feelings and slowly nodded. Yes, I like you. I had liked him for a long time. Xingju, like a child finally receiving candy, embraced me tightly, proclaiming, Xinyu is a coward, but that's all right. Xingju will actively love her. Online, someone inquired. Since Xingju and Xinyu are lovers who have finally come together, what then becomes of Xinyu? He did so much to pursue her. Does this now constitute a change of heart? Julin replied, of course, they are just ordinary friends. Isn't that what someone admitted? If they never dated, how could there be a change of heart? It's simply a friend helping out. Some people needn't get carried away. Julin finally felt vindicated. Just when it seemed the matter would conclude, Xinyu insisted on stirring the pot. One night, she unexpectedly posted a cryptic tweet. In the past, I didn't cherish what I had, thinking he would always be there. It was only after losing him that I realized he wouldn't wait forever. If given another chance, I would tell him I'm willing. Upon reading that nauseating tweet in the dead of night, I could hardly contain my frustration. I kicked Xingju off the bed, exclaiming, get lost. He was taken aback, hesitating to question me, and could only retreat to the corner to check his phone to see what had transpired. A few minutes later, Xingju posted a tweet of his own. Hacking is disgraceful. Please return my wife's game account. Xinyu. Accompanying this was a screenshot from 2 years ago of my last gaming achievement with him, proudly displaying our level 52 couple badge, my account ID being SY. The second image showed my account after it had been hacked, now altered to Xinyu. During that time, the game was exceedingly popular. Many celebrities flaunted their gaming achievements, often hiring boosters or directly purchasing high-star accounts. After my account was stolen, it was bought by Xinyu, and coincidentally, our names were homophones. Foolishly, Xingju mistook her for me and happily sent resources her way. In light of Xingju's earlier comments about mistaking someone, netizens quickly pieced together the events. Once Xinyu was confronted by Xingju, she promptly deleted her tweet, becoming the subject of ridicule. After responding to the situation, Xingju sheepishly returned, wife, I've taken care of it. I crossed my arms, utterly baffled as to how he could have mistaken Xinyu for me. You merely looked at an account. And without asking, you just assumed it was me? He hastily explained, you suddenly disappeared for a long time, and I couldn't find you. When I saw she was showcasing her account, I thought you had entered the industry, so I sent her a few resources, and later, she reached out to me. Don't you find it strange that her skills in the celebrity exhibition match were utterly abysmal? She mentioned that she hadn't played in a long time and felt somewhat estranged, and I never intended to recognize her, as we had never played together before. I was puzzled, so you mistook her for me, and you never had any feelings for her? Xingju was quite candid. No, I only sent resources because of you. However, after meeting her, I did not experience the same feelings I had when playing with you. I thought it was merely a case of disappointment upon meeting. This was indeed something Xingju was capable of. His kindness was remarkable. Even the slightest warmth from others lingered in his memory for a long time. Thus, even after discovering that he had met with disappointment, he still sent resources to Xinyu, and when she sought him out, he was repeatedly bound by that lingering old affection. Later, when we played games together, I realized that your gaming habits had not changed at all. After so many rounds together, our instinctive coordination cannot be deceiving. Xingju inched closer to me, kissed me gently, and said, I will always only be moved by you. Life can be quite peculiar with its twists and turns, highs and lows. Just as I resigned myself to the notion of no longer recalling that dream which had faltered in its prime, I received an audition invitation from a renowned director. The leading female role was that of a female general. The director preferred not to use body doubles, thus seeking an actress capable of combat. Having once served as a stunt double, I caught his attention due to my trending status. I successfully passed the audition, and on the day of the opening ceremony, I discovered that the male lead was He Xingju. This production centered around a strong female lead, and He Xingju willingly accepted a supporting role. He refrained from letting me misunderstand that the director had chosen me because of him, waiting until I passed the audition to recommend himself for the male lead-esque position. In this drama, the male protagonist is a spoiled rich kid who, after marrying, is often dominated by the female lead. The director initially hesitated, fearing that our chemistry would be too strong to portray the necessary dynamics. Yet, He Xingju unabashedly declared, "I get beaten at home every day, choose me. And it will definitely work." Thus, he secured the male lead role. However, as the filming commenced, just as He Xingju had predicted, he could effortlessly evoke the emotions in me that made me want to hit him, resulting in the romantic scenes being filmed with remarkable ease. When the series aired, fans humorously remarked, "This is the role in which He Xingju needs the least acting skills, as he is merely playing himself." I earned the award for Best Actress through this drama. During my acceptance speech, I looked at the man in the audience, beaming with pride for me, and smiled softly. "Thank you, Mr. He, for lighting a starry lamp at my most humble moment." He said that Xinyu, being timid, was no issue, for He Xingju would certainly love her. I also wished to convey to him that Xinyu had not given up and was steadily moving towards him. In truth, I knew from the first encounter with Ms. Qin at the fruit store that she was his mother. Therefore, even though the notion of being a temporary girlfriend sounded absurd, I still mustered the courage to meet him. The mountains and seas may be tumultuous, yet the stars and moons serve as my vessel. The end of the narrative. Thank you for listening. And I look forward to our next story together.